I need to change this camera to.
Well, we're back where we were last semester. So. Do we have? We don't have this. Wait, what's going on?
Yeah, all that works. That's amazing. So we'll.
So they can get
I'm putting the controls slideshow.
Should the phone be off?
It should be, yeah.
Okay.
You just tap in a little.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's just save battery.
I don't know. Okay. So your mic is sticking on that laptop, and so I guess feel free to stay close to your laptop.
Yeah.
I have a laser pointer for you if you'd like to use it.
I mean, okay.
There you go.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to get started, and I'm just going to welcome everybody who's new.
Yes.
And I'm going to pass it directly to Minh.
Yes.
Minh has one slide. What? Minh has one slide.
You might bust up against the laptop.
How you doing? How are you? Tell, what do we have for announcements?
Yeah.
Right.
You'll see. Okay. All right. Shall I get started?
Yeah.
Awesome. Welcome, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. So, that's something special for you all today. Minh is going to be doing a Log4j vulnerability presentation. But I'd first like to welcome anybody who's new. Is there anybody who's new first time in SIGPwny here? Welcome. I can hear about that. Woo! Yeah, that's awesome. Maybe you heard about open house. I'd like to give a quick review about what our company, what we do. We meet Thursdays and Sundays. Thursday is going to be approachable content. Hopefully, we've got a shorter presentation. And we have a lot of time to solve the jobs and practice what you learn. And we can walk around, help everybody, make sure we all get our content now. Sunday's a little bit longer for me, so we have only 45-minute hours presentation on something, but sometimes we have jobs to go along with it. This Sunday, we're going to be doing factoring with Husband, which I'm very excited for. Factoring plays a critical role in security. So if you're interested in that, come to that.
real quick. If you were confused, we are the Computer Security Club. So
yes, and it's great to have you. So I'd love for you to come up, introduce yourself to me. Sometimes I'd love to meet you all or introduce yourself to your neighbors. But I'm going to go ahead and get started with the announcements and pass it off to Minh. So, DICE, can I get a raise hand if you participated in DICE? Yeah, congratulations to everybody who did that. We placed 7th in the world. Placing top 10 DICE is just huge. Like I'm telling you, it legitimizes our position as a serious CTF playing club. So not only do we have fun social stuff, but also a threat when it comes to competitions. So congratulations to everybody. I hope you had fun with that. I know I did. I love this excerpt added. You know, we ended up being CMU, Jndi, OSU, everybody. I mean, we're up there with the top teams, right? So awesome job to everyone involved. Next up on the announcements, we have Tracer Fire coming up. That's going to be March 5th and 6th. They're only taking 50 entries, so make sure you hit that reservation. It's in our announcements channel. You don't have to have a team for that, even if it says on the form. They will assign you one if you don't have one. If you're interested, Tracer Fire is a blue team forensics part. So it's different than what we present here. So it's going to be good to diversify your experience in cybersecurity. There's 30 already submitted, so if you're interested, I recommend doing that quickly. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to our club member, Minh, who's going to present on Log4j.
Thank you. Okay, so here's a meeting flag, and also relevant XKCD. So if you guys are new, you can go to ctf.sigpwny.com and you can make an account with your Illinois email, and then you can submit this as your meeting flag to get points for this meeting. Yeah.
I'm gonna use the you're in Zoom.
Too late, Thomas. Sorry.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so what is Log4j? You probably heard of it by now, and something really bad has happened to it. But before we get into that, we're just going to talk about Log4j from a general perspective. So what is it? It is a logging library for Java, hence the name Log4j. It's created and maintained by Uphashi. It's open source, and you can use it like any other library in Java. You can import it, and then you can use it as an object. All it does is you can just log messages. You can save those logs into files, or print them to standard output, etc. So one of the key features of Log4j is that you can perform lookups to display variable information. So for example, we have this snippet of code here that logs today's date is, and we got this kind of randomish string-ish. Notice the $sign, the curly brackets, and then we have dates, colon, and then a date format. So then that will output today's date is February 10th, 2022. So that's pretty self-explanatory. And here's some more lookup examples. So we've got Log4j supports numerous prefixes. So there's the Java prefix, for example, and then you can view information such as version for Java. And you can also print things like environment variables on the operating system. So here we have my home directory is, and then it prints out, it uses the home environment variable, and that prints out the current working directory for your home user. So one very special type of lookup that is present in Log4j is the Jndi Lookup. And like, this is kind of a bit to take in, so I'm going to break it down. So the prefix stands for Java Naming and Directory Interface. It's just a general way for Java to interact with directory services. And then we have the Lightweight Directory Access Protocol query. So if you don't know what LDAP is, if you can think about your Illinois account, you need to log into it. You can log into it from any Windows machine that's connected to the Illinois.edu domain. And that's because we have a central server that stores a directory of every single person in the administration. That's done using queries to check for password authentication, emails, stuff like that. So, and then breaking down the LDAP query further, we have just the IP address and port, and then after that, we have the actual query where we'll put in our parameters. So this is a real example of how a Jndi lookup would work in Log4j. So can anyone tell me, what do you think, what exactly happens when this Jndi lookup happens? If anyone, yeah, cool. Yeah, so what it does is it says, hey, this server IP address, send me the given name attribute of the object with the username Minh2 in the Illinois.edu domain. And it will respond with Minh, and then it will display, hi, my name is Minh. And that'll be what will get logged in your Log4j output. So now we're going to introduce Log4Shell. And this is the official logo. It was made in Microsoft Paint. Basically, the vulnerability is abusing the LDAP, the Jndi LDAP functionality to force Java applications to remotely execute arbitrary code, which is short for RCE. And it was given a common vulnerability scoring standard score of 10, which is the most critical score you can get. So why is Log4j so notable? It's ridiculously easy to exploit, and it impacted a lot of software, because a lot of software use Log4j as a dependency. So the iCloud login, Twitter login, Microsoft Azure, even Gehidra. So I know all you have used, some of you may have used Gehidra to reverse binaries before. That was also impacted by Log4j. And then the most notable was Minecraft. where servers and clients were all vulnerable. So no privileges are required, and no external user interaction is needed to exploit Log4Shell. And the thing is, it was announced on December 9th, 2021. So, and then after a few days, it started gaining popularity, but that's just 2 weeks before the holidays. So you have sysadmins struggling to patch older systems over the holidays, and it was just a mess. So moving on to the more technical exploit details. So when a Jndi LDAP query is made, like the one from earlier, where we request my username, the server will respond with a serialized object. So basically, when we send a query with Log4j to the LDAP server will find the object, and then it will serialize it so that way it can send it back to us. And then once we get it back, we will deserialize it so that way we can use it. And this is similar to Python pickling, except in this case, we call it marshalling. And here's a very critical point whenever you're programming anything. Never serialize or deserialize untrusted data, because when you're deserializing untrusted data, the results can be unexpected, and your code will not be able to handle what might be a result of that. So moving on, Jndi actually has a deserialization attack. So what happens if the LDAP server is malicious? So instead of returning the requested serialized object, which would be like my username with my name, an attacker can instead return a serialized Java class file, which will be deserialized by our application, and then it will get executed, because Java being Java will just execute things when it sees it. So how can we exploit Log4Shell? So what we want to do is we create a Java file called exploit.java, which contains our payload. And then we're going to compile exploit.java into a class file, as I said. So that's just a compiled Java file. And then we're going to host a web server with exploit.class in a root directory. And then, as I said, we are going to host an LDAP server, which will return our exploit.class file instead of the object that was requested. And then it will run the Jndi injection on the vulnerable application, and it will connect to the LDAP server, get the exploit.class file, and run it. So here's a case study where the Log4Shell was a thing. So I did a test. I sent a Jndi string to the MTD bus stop. And in this case, we actually got hits back. So you'd see there were hits at those from those IP addresses. And those IP addresses actually belong to T-Mobile. So in this case, it was not MTD that was vulnerable. It was actually T-Mobile. Their SMS gateway was using Log4j. And it made requests back to our LDAP server, and they got logged. So T-Mobile SMS gateway. Yeah.
I know, like,
Okay, so in this case, I just picked up from somewhere online. So somebody already reported it, but yeah, I was just playing around with this. Yeah. So the other case study is Minecraft, and this is the most notable one because not only were Minecraft servers vulnerable, but the Minecraft clients that you all use to play the game are also vulnerable. So that means if you were playing on a Minecraft server with a vulnerable client, and somebody executed the Jndi injection, then you would get exploited as well as everyone else connected to the server, as well as the server. So that was a huge thing, and basically there was a warning that was spread out quickly across social media, like, don't play Minecraft because you might get hacked. But luckily, Mojang released patches for the official game client just like a day after Log4Shell was announced. So props to them for fixing that quickly. However, the Minecraft servers, if you didn't update them or try to patch them, they're still vulnerable. And we do have a CTF challenge involving a Minecraft server, which you will try to exploit with Log4Shell. But do not attempt this challenge without using the official Minecraft client, because if you're using, I don't know, like Lunar client, there's no guarantee that the Log4Shell patches have been applied. So just note that. So here's an example of how you would exploit Log4Shell in Minecraft. So when you type in the JNDI string in the chat, what the server will do is it will use Log4j to log that chat message. But because it's a JNDI string, it will execute that JNDI string. And then here we have our LDAP server and our HTTP server. So once we run that chat command, it will connect to our LDAP server on the top image. And our LDAP server will grab exploit that class from our web server. And then it will return that back to the Minecraft server. And then the Minecraft server will run exploit that class. So here's some additional resources, which I'll post with these slides. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have. There is the Minecraft server challenge, which you can look at, and definitely follow these guides because they're very helpful.
Let's give him a round of applause. I'll just finish up by saying, first of all, awesome presentation. I just want to wrap things up by talking about our next meetings real quick. This Sunday, like I said earlier, we're doing RSA factoring with Husney. It's going to be very exciting. You won't want to miss that. Room details to come. It's probably going to be here, I think. Whoa, room details coming. Sunday, 24. Okay, right. So then next Thursday, we're going to be doing Python jails. And so I encourage you to come learn about that. Hopefully people will be presenting that, but we'll see. And without further ado, get started on that. Go to ctf.sigpwny.com, connect to that Minecraft server, exploit it, or just play Minecraft. Thank you all for
That is
being here.
also valid.
That was fantastic. That was honestly great. Let's go ahead and stop the recording and then let it do that the way there's no editing. What's up, Zoom?
I
See you all. Hey, Sam.
yeah, I should. Okay, you got it?
Can I get somebody else? Okay. Thank you. You want to do me a favor? Before my first no, just Google Discord on Facebook. Yeah, just search for. Oh, I can send it to you. Just Google Discord on the ring of the Yahoo site.